spam of our voice note. We are in episode 5, and on this episode, we feature Sid Wambui, who she is. Find all about her on this episode. I hope you definitely enjoyed this one. Hey Sid, how you doing?
Hi, Gikosh. I am doing well. I hope you are as well.
Kindly introduce yourself.
Now, you see this question kindly introduce yourself. This is a very interesting question. Because who are you outside what you do? Who are you outside your accolades? That's a very interesting question. Well, my name, first of all, is Sid Wambui. I am a creative. I, um, I do radio for a living, you know, and I'll be able to answer this question in its entirety after I have found out who I truly am.
Kindly take us through your upbringing.
Bringing was rough, dysfunctional families and all. So my parents got divorced when I was really, really young, and their divorce was ugly. So I went to boarding school at a very young age, and I think it was a better alternative to the chaos at home, right? What does family mean to you? Wait, this is like a therapy question. I am one therapy session away from answering this question. My radio journey.
Love you on radio. Kindly take us through your radio journey.
Journey. I was young. I was young when I first took interest in the the art of voice, right? So it was in listening to ads and liking what I heard and even attempting to mimic what I heard that sparked it. But then, because at the time radio wasn't considered a career, it was considered something celebrities did. And I didn't know any celebrities, so it was something I brushed off. I remember in high school, one of my desk mates was like, "Whether you have a voice, eh?" I think I had read something, a passage in English, and they were like, "Wewe, hii sauti bwana wewe," you know. But again, radio was not considered a career. The serious careers were lawyers and all that, and so again, I brushed it off. Then it got to uni, and the long story short of it is that when I ended up settling for the school I eventually got my papers from, the day I went to enroll, I had a sit down with the registrar, right? And she took me through what courses they offered. And I knew I didn't want anything that had math. So I was like, don't give me something that has math. What options are there? So when I saw journalism, I remember thinking, yeah, this one, this is it. This journalism thing, yeah, I can do this one. And then on the same day, they took us around the school, right? And I wasn't interested. Taking us to the mess, they were taking us to the hostels, they were taking us around. I wasn't interested. I was bored until we got to the radio studio. First of all, I was shocked that they had a fully equipped radio studio. And I remember sitting on that chair. And I knew it. I just knew it. I knew that was it. And I didn't leave the studio. Like, anyone in school knew. If you're looking for Sid, she's in the radio studio. I never left. I taught myself the software. I was just curious and I didn't understand it. I just knew I had found my thing, Fast forward, I graduate and then 2020 happens. And then I think it was around 2020 when there was this circulation going around that KISS was hiring. And I got this forwarded to me like 3 times. And I remember thinking, yeah, right, come on. Like, we know how they do. At the time I used to think they do those circulations as a formality. And so I brushed it off. Really, I did. I did not apply for it. And as the deadline drew closer, you know, I remember, I don't know if it was a voice. I want to say a voice, right? But there was a nudge in my spirit about applying for it. And because I was stubborn, eventually this voice said, you'd rather apply and then it doesn't work out. And so you'll be able to say that, hey, I applied, I gave it, I gave it my all. That was what eventually got me to apply. So I did, and I forgot about it. 6 months later, I get my first call. This is 6 months later. I get the first call about an interview, and another interview after that, after like another week. It happened so fast how I got that contract. I was signing that contract on my birthday. So I feel like everything just came together. God was the one who made it and orchestrated it the way it happened. And then at the time, so I joined. Linda Nyangweso was leaving KISS. Chitondlovu was already confirmed for the drive show, right? And so they were like, yo, let's try this new chick. Let's try her out, see what she's about. That's how I was able to get into the KISS drive. And the rest is history.
Radio is dead. What do you feel about this statement?
Oh, yeah. People like to throw this around, that radio is dead. I think radio is evolving, which is a natural occurrence when times change. I mean, the digital movement has shaken things. And I think radio is trying to find its space and its place in this digital environment that we find ourselves in. So is radio dead? No, I don't think so. And I don't want to believe that it is. I think it will evolve and it will find its place.
Tell us more about your voice artistry and MCing side.
My voice artistry and MCing side. Wow, the voice artistry thing. I got curious about it, when I was in uni. Yeah, when I was in uni, and I was curious. I was like, how does one get into this thing? What does it take to do an ad, And so I was able to, because of just how curious I was able to get this number. I reached out to this guy called Matthew, and I was like, I want to do it. And he sent me a couple of scripts. I remember my first meeting with him. I felt like that was such an adult thing I did. Like I felt like I was putting myself out there for real, because I had to go to his studio. And I didn't think people, at the time, I was young, And I felt vulnerable because I was going to meet someone I didn't know. I didn't know what to expect. And so he taught me, and he got my voice in the bank, said he was going to reach out when he gets jobs. And he sent me scripts. And so, that back and forth, where he'd send me a script and I'd send him back a voice recording, and he would say, tweak here and do it here and like this and like that. The first time I ever made money from voice acting, I could not believe it. I could not believe that my voice had made money. It was a crazy experience. But this for me is like a passion thing, because I love the art. I'm always looking to learn. I'm constantly in studio. I still look for scripts. I still write my own scripts and I voice them. Ultimately, my goal, like ile time nitafikiria nimefika sana, is the day I will get an animal documentary gig. because those pay crazy. Like the pay there is amazing. So yeah, that's the goal for me. The MCing thing, oh wow, I I have done it. I just think that I am now in a time where I'm willing to get into it properly. And so I'll be able to answer this maybe end of this year.
When did you discover you can sing? Also, take us through your creativity process and also how you guys came up with Akiba.
When did I discover I can sing? I've been singing since I was a kid. I've just been singing all my life. But singing for me was something that I felt shy to do in front of people. And so nilikanyageo story up until like I grew up and I was like, hey, I can't ignore this thing. So I went to studio in 2020. First, no, actually, no, that was not the first time I ever recorded myself. No, 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 no. I, well, my singing journey officially when I started recording stuff was through friends. So I'd meet someone who's a msanii. They'll take me to studio. Check your name ni msanii, boom record. You know, it wasn't serious up until 2020, where me and friends, my friends and I, your English imeenda. My friends and I went to studio and we were like, yo, we are broke, but we have this thing. Let's write music and let's see how far it can get us. And so that's how Akiba Band was formed. And, you know, we're growing. We have 7 songs that we recorded in 2020. Now, the thing about going to studio is that it's step one, eh? Step one is to record the music. Step two, it's the releasing and the promoting. And you know, this whole musical as a career thing is not something we're taught, right? We're not taught how to go about it. Most of us are still figuring it out as we go. And it's been quite the journey. Also, since 2020, I got Kiss. I've been trying to focus on that. But I know I'm going to get back to music, you know? What
According to you, what makes music great?
I think the message. I think some of the I grew up listening to Michael Jackson. And while his talent is undeniable, some of his greatest songs for me had powerful messages that became mantras in my life, right? Like there's this song called Keep the Faith. Keep the Faith got me through a very rough childhood. And I held on to every word. You should listen to that song. I held on to every lyric in that song because it felt like he knew what he was talking about, right? So when you have the right message, even if you do what he did for me to one person, and you've done your thing as a musician, I think good music has impact. And good musicians should never run away from that, right? I know it's hard because we're living in a time where that no longer happens, but impact is everything.
What are you doing to make Kenyan music great?
Going to make Kenyan music great. First of all, I am doing the Maloko show on Kiss FM. It's a show dedicated to Kenyan music, but also I have a YouTube show, open mic sessions. It's also dedicated to music, Kenyan music, and Kenyan performers. But this is something I am passionate about. I love talking about Kenyan music. I like pushing Kenyan. Even when I do on air, I'm always listening to what's out here by Kenyan stars. You know, Because if we don't do it, who's gonna do it? We're out here talking about Akina Megan Thee Stallion. They have their own people who do a great job in pushing them. Man, those people have done such a great job that in Africa, we're out here talking about them. They don't talk about us. Same thing with Nigerians, right? I mean, the thing about music is that it it goes beyond borders, right? Unites all of us. But if we don't push our own, I want to say that that's how we lose our mark, right? Who's going to document our people if we don't? Who's going to hype our people if we don't? Who's going to uplift our people if we don't? So it's personal for me. My favorite artist from Kenya, I love Sage Chemutai.
Who are some of your favorite artists and who would you love to work with?
I love Antonio Sol. Antonio Sol, by then, he's a dope artist for real. I love Ziki. I love Meja. I love Trio Mio. Savara. I love Bridget Bloom. Brandy Minor. Mandy. Kale Kabaya. Brida LW pia. I love Brida LW. And I love George Jenga. Gas Gwiji. Tony. Panganga. All these, especially the ones I'm saying right now. I know you probably don't know them, but these are great artists. Nkatha. Jua Kali. Well, it's a long list of people I really vibe with. Who would I like to work with? I'd like to work with Savara for real, because Savara anakuanga tu na vibe. I'd love to work with Major. I'd love to write for Mandy, because I actually have a song Mandy would really like. It's a Mandy kind of vibe, because I also write music, eh?
How do you take care of your mental health and what keeps you motivated?
How do I take care of my mental health? What keeps you motivated? Whew, that's a very good question. My mental health. How do I take care of my mental health? I have gotten into the practice of combating. See that little voice in your head that's always trying to tell you you can't do this, you can't do that, always just bringing out the negativity about life. So actively, I have started, like immediately I get a bad thought, immediately I get a negative thought, I will challenge the thought, because the mind is so powerful, right? And I've come to realize that whatever you allow your mind to feed off of becomes your reality, right? So immediately I get a bad thought, I'm like, nah, no, I refuse. Because your mind can tell you it is raining when it is sunny. And if you believe it, it's going to be a rainy day for you. And I've also learned to be kind with myself. I've learned to accept that I am human, that I will flaw, but to move on. Also, I'm teaching myself humility. Because the ego can get you into so much trouble, which will affect your mental health. What keeps me motivated? I am a creative and I get ideas constantly. Man, even in the middle of the night. So that keeps me motivated. I'm like, I need to do this. I need to do this. And then me mi nakuanga na njaa ingine hapo serious. Also, I have not made it. You know what I mean? I haven't made it. When I say nakuanga na njaa, I mean I am curious, right? I know there's more I can get out of life. And I do not want to limit myself. And I know where it is I am coming from. And I know I do not ever want to go back. So that keeps me motivated. Njaa.
Any piece of advice to someone who wants to join the media space?
Any piece of advice someone wants to join the media space? Consistency. I have this mantra. Do with what you have now. Right? To get to where you want to get to. So use what you have at your disposal. I before, when I was applying for KISS, right? They were asking for demos. If I didn't have demos, I would not be at KISS. And it's so easy for you to get caught up and be like, oh, but then where do I even start? You'll always have excuses, and excuses will always be valid. But I didn't ever allow myself to feed off of excuses. I always knew, I need to be prepared. So I used what I had. I even used to record with my phone. Some of the demos I sent because, like, from phone recordings, So use what you have now to get you to where you want to get to. You want to be a TV presenter? Use your phone. You want to be a radio presenter? Build relationships. Look for producers. Right? Use your phone as well. If you cannot get a producer, if you cannot... Opportunity will always go with those who are prepared in one way or another.
What message do you have for Akiba and Mushina?
My message for Akiba music. Yo, we have a song that's coming through, eh? And this song I know we are tapping into a very heartfelt place, because the message of this song is something we can all relate to. And so my message to my band is that when we write this song and when we put it out, this is going to change lives, right? Our impact will be that we actually did it. Because we started from the bottom. There's only up to go from there. Mushina Malomba. Mushina Malomba is one person that I have come to admire. This guy has emotional maturity that is let me phrase it this way. I haven't met someone quite like Mushina Malomba in the way he deals with his emotions, in the way that it's easy for him to let go of things, and in the way that often he's coming from a genuine place, right? And so I admire that in him. And I'm proud of him. I really am.
Kindly plug yourself.
Yeah, you can find me at Sid Wambui, all platforms. TikTok, it's at Sid Wambui official, if I'm not wrong.
What would you love Sid to be remembered for?
Wow, I'd love to be remembered as someone who tried, right? in all aspects of life. Because you see how radio is, and was for the longest time a celebrities thing. It was for who you know. Yet I, someone who no one knew, was able to get into that space. I think that for anyone should be a thing of, if I could do it, it's not out of reach in that way. I'm also working through a lot of, issues. I'm unlearning and trying to learn as well. And so when I say that I want to be remembered as someone who tried to do this life thing the right way, yeah, that's what I want to be remembered for.
Thank you, Sid, for letting me do this, and thank you to you for watching this whole interview. Let me see you on the next episode. We can love more.